Greetings, fleetmates. So here I was, in the middle of editing the new tournament report video, when I was graced by the Armageddon box unboxing. With my undiagnosed ADHD firing up in turbo mode, I obviously decided to immediately hop between projects and start talking about the context of the new big box, which is now the hottest thing to get in 40k for Space Marine players. So, let's have a short discussion over the box and its content. With the rules not having been revealed yet, the models themselves will be my main focus, but still with some speculation over the playability of the models, especially with Salamanders rules. I cannot really say anything about the orc side of the box. I know nothing about orcs and their gameplay, other than the fact that boys burn absolutely gloriously in the Overwatch from 10 Infernus Marines with their Pyreblasters. That and the fact that I will probably still lose every game against them because I have no idea on how to deal with Horde army pressure. I did, however, notice one thing. These models are absolutely mega cool. I'm usually not a big fan of orc models. I think they look a bit too wonky and silly, which I guess is the purpose for the orcs, but my goodness, these ones are good. Especially the new war truck, whatever it's called, the weird like trucks bearing tricycle. Dynamic, angry and expressive at the same time. And this is a good segue to my actual thoughts about the marine models. They are fine. Like, sure, none of it looks bad by any means, but almost nothing feels fresh. I don't get the sense of discovery and wonder as when a new model is released usually. The fact that most models are basically reskins of other existing models also makes it even less impressive to me. I know that some people love new poses for existing models, but me, being a burned out PhD salary dude, can't really care about or afford repurchasing models I already have, unless I come up with some epic kit bus for a model. But let's see the new models one by one, and I'll try to explain my point of view. Captain with a Relic Shield. Okay, this one is honestly a strong start. The position is dynamic, and the whole thing looks nice and well tied together. I don't have much to say, and that's also part of the problem in my opinion. It's a captain. You most likely already have captains. I have 4 of them, split between my Salamanders and Blood Agents armies. Do you really need to buy this box just for this guy? I'll let you be the judge of that. Also, even though the model is cool, I think the old Relic Shield captain, I think he was the one in the Indomitus box, is also quite peak aura farming as well, as the young aspirants would say. Finally, the tactical rock is nicely made, but I did notice that it looks particularly similar to the one that Uthar the Destined is stepping on. Just saying. Anyways, I'm giving this model a fair 7 out of 10. When it comes to playability, captains are always good. The once per game steroids ability is impactful, and the cheaper CP is always a good thing to have. For Salamanders, I think that the captain is an excellent addition to go with a big blob of 10 Infernus Marines. Most people usually use a Librarian for the 4+ invulnerable save, but I think that the captain allowing you to get the big devastating wound stratagem for 1 CP instead of the 2 can come in clutch. Especially with my horrible skill at positioning my army, forcing me to spend CP for Armor of Contempt and Smoke on turn 1 because I couldn't hide my Land Raider from the Tau gunline properly. Speaking of Librarians, we also got one in the Armageddon box. And this one is also nice, I guess. I love his pose, and I love that he holds a staff and casting an ability. He definitely looks way more like a space wizard ready to cast his spell, and I love that. I will probably need a second one of these dudes, so that I can maybe have 2 blobs of Infernus led by a Librarian, or like 2 Librarians. Like, in total, 2 Librarians for 2 squads. You can't have 2 Librarians in 1 squad. Anyway, I'm very confused now. So, if I saw this character next to the basic Librarian, I'm always picking this model over the original one. But would I buy the Armageddon box to get just this character? Highly unlikely. I do, however, admit that this individual model is fairly impressive, so I'll give it a generous 8 out of 10. Okay, this next one might be the heaviest hitter of the marine side of the box, the Chaplain with the jump pack. This guy is cool. They modeled his helmet so good that you can almost see his rays, and with the Crozius up high, he really looks like he's about to dunk on them orcs and smash some teeth out. If I hold something against this model, it is the use of the tactical rock again. They tried something different this time, where it looks like the smoke from him taking off is connecting him to the rock itself, instead of the model looking like it just whoopsie-daisy tripped over a piece of rock. However, I can see two problems with that. The system looks quite flimsy, and I can see clumsy moments leading to broken models, tears, and sometimes absolute depression. Secondly, I think that the model itself looks a bit weird in the air. I can't put it to words exactly. It doesn't really look like it's flying. It looks like it's just stationary in the air, falling while airborne. I don't know. Maybe it's my weird head, but I hope you can see what I mean. It feels a tiny bit uncanny. Anyway, for all of these, I will give this model a brave 8.5 out of 10. Playability-wise, Chaplains are very good and playable for Marines in general. I've spent most of my time playing Blood Angels, so these models have an important place in my heart. Flat +1 to wound and mortals on fighting, whenever he's fighting, are very useful and can make any piece of jump infantry hit much harder than it ever should. For Salamanders, unfortunately, some of the value is lost, I think. Both the current Salamander theme detachments have access to +1 to wound via strats, and also the benefit for +1 to wound from Oath of Moment. It is quite unlikely that this ability will come in handy. Most of the times you will not need a third unit to have +1 to wound, especially in melee at this point. However, I will say that if this guy is able to lead the new Vanguard Veterans, see below, then there is a potential Wobo combo to be made, but we'll discuss it in the very next chapter. Look, the Blood Angel in me has always been expecting this. I saw my Sanguinary Guard getting primarized. I saw my Death Company turning to black-colored Jump Intercessors. So I knew that when Vanguard Veterans were announced, they will follow the same fate. Now, some of these models are nice. I like that they don't all have tactical rocks, and some of the poses look genuinely cool. The Sergeant's pose looks also pretty impressive, although it's not completely fresh. He looks quite similar to the Company Hero's sword dude, but that's okay. Honestly, I don't have much to say, because there is not that much to these guys. They are Primaris Jump Intercessors with a bit more drip and cool swords. I would give them a totally neutral 5 out of 10, because that's exactly how I feel about them, but due to the 2-3 cooler poses, I think I'll elevate them to a slightly more favorable 6 out of 10. Now, I do expect these guys to be heavy hitters. With their power blades, they will probably have 3 or 4 attacks each, and apparently Games Workshop made them strength 5 AP 2 damage 2, which is a huge damage boost from the previous version with the AP -1 damage 1. If they also keep their lethal hits on charge rule, they will be absolutely insane damage dealers. If they are released in an individual box, I will most definitely get 10 of them for my Blood Angels army at least. Now, the original version of these guys had a wide variety of sidearms, including Melta pistols, hand flamers, or relic shields, giving them the 4+ invulnerable. The new reveal text only mentions their swords as weapons, and they do seem to carry heavy bolt pistols and maybe a couple of plasmas. In new edition boxes, models come monopose, so this is basically what we will get on release day for the edition. For Salamander's purposes, I hope they get to keep their weird weapon combos that they had before. This is honestly my dream for my Liquid Flames. It's a combo that I really want to play, so I want to run them with 10 Flamers, and then have a Jump Captain, or perhaps the new Chaplain if he can lead them, with the Immolator enhancement giving them +1 attack to their Flamers. This would offer a much needed speed boost in the slow moving Salamander army, but also an excellent spike of damage into pretty much everything. One can only hope, but so far nothing has come up as far as I know. But otherwise for Salamanders there is not so much synergy. If you want a fast cheap action monkey unit, then some Jump Intercessors will do the same job and probably at a lower point cost. The Ancient. Not so much to say here. It's exactly the same as with a Librarian for me. Cooler modder than the existing one. If you really need one, then you should get him. I like the fact that the flag says Armageddon. I feel this will have some sort of antique vintage vibe in a few years, and the whole model looks like a realistic way of how a bannerman would hold his standard in the battlefield. To be honest, I am a bit biased because of the model rules. Personally, it seems like you don't really need to get this model unless you really want it in your collection. I will give it a 5 out of 10. If they happen to change his rules for 11th edition, then I'll be happy to change my opinion as well. Currently he gives some bonus OC, which is fine, but not really game changing, and he gets this weird rule where he has this 4+ feel no pain for himself only when he's on an objective or close to the center. Do not be fooled by this. A toughness 4 regular marine without an invulnerable will die if your opponent decides that he wants him to die. So don't expect him to be your last man standing when you desperately need to hold the center for an epic win on turn 5. Besides, brothers, we are Salamanders. Of course we know that there is a much better 4+ feel no pain unit to stand unyielding at the face of absolute doom and win your game on turn 5. And that's Mephiston. Just joking, it's Vulcan Heston, of course. Intercessors. Nothing much to say here. They are Intercessors. They look like Intercessors with some added poses. This is the Honda Civic of Space Marines. It's cheap, it's reliable, they made it in the millions, it will get you to your destination, and it's a base body that you can use for conversions very easily. This is the definition of a 5 out of 10 unit. To be honest though, I don't see why you would need cool posed Intercessors. They are baseline troops that will spend most of the game somewhere around your deployment zone. Many games will actually end with the nozzles of their guns sparkling clean. The new old helmets don't really scream original or vintage to me, it doesn't make any change, and I think that this is just box filler material in a box mostly consisting of box fillers. If you are a new player, Intercessors are some of the most auto-include base units in your list for scoring points. Their first ability is Sticky Objectives, which allows you to move away from an objective and still hold it until your opponent drops something on it. This offers flexibility and yet another unit to run around, do some actions, and maybe take some potshots here and there, with a fairly respectable 4 attacks per model, since the unit's second ability gives them more attacks when focusing only on one enemy unit. It doesn't matter if you're playing Salamanders or any other Marine flavor. This unit is one of the few must-haves. The thing is, you usually just need a squad of 5, and this is one of the easiest units to get your hands on, since every other box usually contains them, and also you can find them very easily in the second-hand market, which is very saturated. Eradicator squad with heavy bolters. These guys are arguably the most original thing in the box, next to the Chaplain perhaps. This is a new unit. Or at least a new iteration of a unit. I kinda love the idea that the regular Eradicators with Meltas are the anti-tank specialists and the new guys get to deal with the hordes. And hey, we are Salamanders players. We wouldn't be playing this army if we didn't have a special affinity for these thickest of boys.
Look at that subtle off-white coloring. The tasteful thickness of it. Oh my god.
7 out of 10, because they carry the Emperor's Holy Wrath, the Heavy Bolter. I think this dude could be honestly a hit or miss for Salamanders. With the amount of flamers we have, dealing with horde units has never been a massive problem for the army. However, the bolters tend to be damaged too, and that can put some proper sized cheese holes into marine equivalents, while our damaged 1 flamers get a bit more easily soaked there. It's honestly down to the rules for these guys. I think if I figured out correctly, the bolters have sustained hits, maybe sustained hits too, because that's usually what bolter profiles get. And I think they also get blast against light stuff, so it remains to be seen if they are good enough. The rule so far is not that extremely amazing to me, but it might be impactful. Land Speeder. Okay, last one here, and now this one is interesting. Not because of the model. It looks exactly like the other Storm Speeders. Once again, no wheel reinventions here. It's fine, slick design, looks like every other Primaris Marine vehicle. 5 out of 10. However, the idea of actually playing it sounds quite intriguing. It comes with a Gatling cannon, which can and will be replaced with a heavy flamer, and a multi-melta next to his other weapons. So I can definitely imagine a tasty combo where you advance somewhere and get some nice Vulcan Heston wound rerolls for the Melta and the Flamer, covering a huge amount of distance in the same time. I don't know what these things' rules will be, but the reveal text does make a hint about shooting and fleeing before taking return fire, so maybe a move-shoot-move ability? That would be insane if it works like that. As I mentioned above, I do struggle with speed in my Liquid Flames list, but something that moves this fast and synergizes with the Salamanders rules sounds quite interesting to me. I think it covers many of the army's weaknesses while also playing to our strengths, and I'm definitely happy and excited to try it. So that's what we get for the release of 11th edition. A box that design-wise doesn't really offer much we didn't already have as Marines on a collection or modeling basis. The whole thing is a bit meh in my opinion. Everything is just fine, but I didn't find a single wow unit that left me really desiring the box. Personally, I'll see if I can get the Librarian, Vanguard Veterans and the Landspeeder for cheaper than the price of half the box. This is assuming that I will find an idiot friend to buy the Orcs half of the box to get the proper value for money for it. But all in all, I will not be rushing to pre-order this time. If I miss it, so be it, but I can't say I'm super excited for anything to the point that I would desperately need the box. I will end this, however, by saying that if you are a new player, this is an excellent deal for you. If you don't have the units, this is an excellent way for you to gain a lot of value in points for cheap with some very usable and flexible units. If the Chaplain can also lead the Veterans, you'll get some decent leaders for your squads too, although I still think that the Captain and the Librarian are better placed elsewhere when it comes to leading units. You will also appreciate the push-to-fit system, which makes it easier for less experienced hobbyists to start getting into the hobby and the modeling part. And the units are fun to play too. This is gonna be fun for you and you will enjoy the process. I might get back to reviewing this topic once again, once the rules are revealed, if there is some sort of big change on something. For now, I will get back to working on my tournament video, which I'm hoping to post ASAP. Until then, I hope you make all your charges from Deep Strike and be well.